Hey guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Today in the book of Acts, we could say that we are at the beginning of the end. We'll find that the book of Acts ends with the Apostle Paul in Rome, in a house, but being closely monitored by the Roman soldiers, but having a certain amount of freedom. But it takes a while for that to take place. There's a lot of things that's going to transpire between what we read about today and when he actually makes it to Rome. We'll find him being basically nearly torn apart by a mob. We'll see him going through different kings and governors, standing before them. We'll also see him traveling to Rome, but getting shipwrecked and ending up in a small island called Malta, doing some healings there and converting some people there. All this is going to take place before he actually makes it to Rome. But this is the beginning of all that. And we find in the book of Romans that the Apostle Paul's desire was to go to Rome. That was one of the things that he wanted. He wanted to go visit the believers in Rome. And he was pretty confident that he would eventually make it to Rome. And his ultimate desire was to go into Spain. However, I don't think that, the Apostle Paul really expected to go to Rome the way that he did. He had to go to Rome not through, first class, taking a jet airline to Rome, or even riding in a fancy cruise ship to Rome. He was going to face some difficult trials. It wasn't going to be an easy trip going to Rome. He would get an all-expense paid trip to Rome, but it was going to be as a prisoner. And it would cause him a lot of problems as they enter this storm and the ship breaks apart and they end up stranded on an island, all these different things. And we might think, why didn't the Lord just make an easy path to Rome? If the Lord wanted Paul in Rome, surely God in his sovereignty could have paved a smooth path to Rome for Paul. Why was it that the Lord allowed Paul to go through all these hardships just to get to Rome? And of course, as we think about it, we could say, you know what? Even though the Apostle Paul had a rough go at it and it was a difficult journey to Rome, we can also think about, as we read through the rest of the book of Acts, all the good that came out of it. We'll see the Apostle Paul being able to proclaim the gospel to kings and governors. We'll see him being able to help people with faith in God on the ship as it's about to, be destroyed. We're going to see him also be able to proclaim Christ to the people at Malta, and even the leader there at Malta becomes converted. A lot of good is going to happen along this trip, but it's going to be mixed in with and really come out of the sufferings that Paul is going to have to experience. And as we think about that in our own lives, we too are on a journey. We are on a journey to be with the Lord forever. We're on a journey to be with Christ. Eventually, after this life is over, after this journey on this earth is done, we will be able to enjoy the bliss of being with Christ forever. And we might wonder, why couldn't the Lord just pave the way for us to go there in the first place? Like, why is it that we have to go through all these trials and difficulties and hardships of life only to end up in a place of bliss? Why can't he just transport us there now, immediately, and we could forego all the hardships that this life brings? Well, the answer would be the same as what we said with the Apostle Paul. It's because a lot of good can come out of suffering. There's a lot of things that we would not be able to accomplish if we were just given a first-class ticket to heaven and bypass everything that's going on in this earth. We, as disciples of Christ, as ambassadors of the kingdom of God, we enter into the suffering, into a suffering world, into a hurting world, into a world filled with evil, and we go into that world bearing the good news of Jesus Christ. And it's through the avenue of suffering that we are able to give a testimony to Jesus Christ. And so without that, we may not be able to do as much good if we were given the easy path, if we were given the red carpet to heaven. But because the Lord allows us to endure these things, we are able to be a witness to others, to be a testimony to what Christ can do in an individual's life. We're given opportunities to proclaim the gospel. We're given opportunities to help our fellow neighbor and to make an impact in this world, in this hurting world. And therefore, a lot of good can come out of our suffering. And so if we ever begin to think, why does the Lord allow so much suffering in our lives when we can imagine it being so much different? We could also look at it and say, you know what? In the midst of suffering, there's a lot of good. And as a matter of fact, there's some good that would not ever be able to be accomplished unless it was born out of suffering. And so we just trust in the Lord that he has the right plan. We trust in his plan, trust in his wisdom, and we continue moving forward, doing his will, accomplishing as much good as we can, even in light of the sufferings we might be enduring, and trusting that, yes, the end of the journey will be pleasant, the end of the journey will be worth it, but all the while we're just going to be accomplishing good for the Lord and doing those things that are pleasing in his sight and that would bring honor to his name. So here's some things we can reflect on and think about as we do a reading today. But guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.